Okay, so for today's project I want to see if I can get a little bit more of the Ottoman done. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it finished. This is where I am currently at. There's a few thoughts I've had. I've had a bit of time in between doing it up last time. I think the last project I did was making the magnetic panel for this part, and I'm very, very happy with it. But one thing I'm not 100% in love with is how these can just hang forward. It looks very lovely when it's open, but if you look at this, when you're trying to close it, you can't close the top quickly because otherwise this swings out and then you end up catching it in between the top and the bottom. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I've left the chain that I'd originally put there that was meant to hold things like the earrings, but it occurred to me that if I just move that up by a little bit, then I can have these just tucked behind it, which wouldn't be hard at all. And then it just stops everything from swinging out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a second load of these little watercolour holders further down. I think I'm probably going to remove the earring holder that I made that just didn't work. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle that last panel. So I'm going to put some cork behind it. I need to check that I have enough cork to begin with. Cover that up. Put something similar to what I have with the brushes, but instead of a brown elastic I have a black elastic which originally came with the Ottoman, and I cut it off. It used to go across this part and it held the legs when I bought the Ottomans, that then you could take the legs and screw them in, but once the legs were screwed in it didn't need to be there, so I took that off. So cork backdrop, paint that, put a little elastic across that, and that's going to hold things like the jade roller, the exfoliating brush, possibly things like the BB cream, just stuff like that. Maybe even my hairbrush, I'm not sure, but I know that I want the jade roller up and the exfoliating brush up. After that, probably not today, I need to figure out what I want to do with the middle panel. As you can see, I've got some of those necklaces which still need to be hung up, just sat there, so that's my main priority. And then at some point, not today, I might cut this in half and then mount them up along the back there so that they can hold things like my glasses and eyeliner. First thing I decided to do was remove the earring holder that I tried to make. It was annoying that I tried to make this twice and ultimately it didn't work, but sometimes that's the only way you learn, and you only find out if something works if you try it out. So I ripped it out, and annoyingly that took some of the fabric with it. So now I had this great big beige open space and I needed to figure out how to cover it up. So while I thought about that, I just decided to go ahead and put the tacks on either side of the necklaces so that then I could put a wire across them. This one fortunately went in quite easily, but later on when I was trying to add some more further down, I don't know what was wrong with my head, but I just couldn't get them in. I must have removed them about 6 times, and obviously that left a mark on the wood and meant I had to repaint it. I did think about using another block of wood to cover up that space on the bottom, but I didn't want to do that because then it's wasted space. It needed to be covered, but it could also be used. So I just put the wire where I wanted it so that the longer necklaces wouldn't fall forward. And then after that, I just thought, okay, we're going to paint over all the areas that we've messed up, paint all the bits of wood that maybe got a little bit scuffed, and then just reassess and see where we are. this point, I was ready to just throw my hammer out of the window. I had all the little parts for holding up the necklaces glued down. They were fine, but then when I started trying to put the tacks, for some reason I just couldn't nail them in straight. They were just going wonky. I had to pull them out several times. I was leaving more marks on the wood. And at the end of all that, I decided that I wasn't even going to use the tacks because it just made it too much of a faff to put the necklaces up. It was fine for the ones above, just because they could swing out and get clamped when you closed the Ottoman, but for the bottom ones it wasn't important. I think at some point what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an elastic band that's removable. That's probably the best option, but there was no way of me knowing this until I tried it, so I'm glad I tried it. But ultimately it didn't work, and I kept getting the tack in the wrong place and things weren't level. I'd repaint the wood, then I'd remove the tack because I'd realised it was kind of slightly wonky, and just, overall it was just a bit of a nightmare. So I was quite pleased when I eventually just took it out and thought, no, we're just going to use elastic eventually. So I've put down the last piece of cork. I don't have enough cork to do the other side, so I'm wondering if this is kind of an opportunity in disguise. So I'm going to paint this part. I still don't know what to do with that one, but that's fine, it's not my problem. I know what to do here, so I'm going to focus on that. And then, I don't know, maybe make another magnetic panel on that side. That could work, but I don't want to make something which is just kind of to fill space. I want to make stuff that is for what I use. I don't really need any more magnetic panels. There's nothing that I can put up there. So I might go back to my previous idea of kind of having a little catch-all basket here. I don't have any mesh on me, and I do want it to be mesh because otherwise it's too easy for little things to fall down into the bottom, and then, you know, 6 months later, a few years later, you look at the bottom and you realise, oh, that's where that hair clip went. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But either way, I'm going to focus on this part, paint it, get the elastic on it so that my jade roller and my exfoliating brush can go up there. So I'll have the jade roller here and then the exfoliating brush here, and then that way it's kind of my skincare routine tools are just up and visible. And then this side will probably end up being a catch-all bag. That's probably the best thing to do. The one thing I will do with the last bit of the cork is just cover up this top part, because if I do put a little bag here, the top part is still going to be visible, and I don't want to be able to see these staples, and I still want to use up some of the cork that is left. So I think that's probably the best thing to do, so that's what I'm going to do. Oh no, 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 no. Wrong way around, wrong way around. Oh, that was close. good, and that's done. So now I have all my skincare stuff just up and neat right in front where I can see it. The longer necklaces aren't going to fall forward as much, which I'm really pleased about. I mean, some of the longer ones like this are still going to drag down, but because I want to keep this part all open, that's really not a problem. It's just here where it can accidentally get clipped in between the bottom of the Ottoman, so that's fine. I might switch it around so that all the longer necklaces are at the top and then the shorter ones are at the bottom, but this little trick with a wire does the job perfectly. Though what I might do at some point is I might change the wire for an elastic band, so that then maybe I can move this up a little bit, and then if I want a necklace, I just undo the elastic band, and then it means even things like my long or short necklaces can just be pinned back and then they don't hang down at all. I don't know, I'm going to think about it, but it's not something that's hard to change. I've already taken these tacks out quite a few times, so if I change my mind or decide to do something, it's easy enough to change and try out. But for the moment, for today, I am really happy with that. It's almost done. If you like my content and want to follow me on Patreon, that's where you can find my early content, extra content, and see the thought process behind things like my books, cover designs, videos, and artwork. You can also find me on Instagram, but the best place to follow me and make sure that all my new content is sent directly to you is through my website and the mailing list. On the top right-hand corner, you put your name, the email you want your new content to be sent to, and that's it. You're done.